For 1,000 years, the Ice Dragon Zael protected the Kingdom of Vaelthorn. Every single one failed, until the day they sent someone who didn't come to fight, someone who came to listen. The Kingdom of Vaelthorn was dying, not from cold, not from hunger, from Malachar, the Shadow Lord, whose dark energy had been poisoning the land for 3 years. Crops blackened overnight. Rivers ran dark. Children were born silent. The king's council had one last plan: find the Ice Dragon, forge a bond with him, use his power to destroy Malachar before the shadow consumed everything.
The situation is dire, my king. No,
Every
there is still
warrior
a
they had
chance.
sent had
With
tried
this,
to conquer Zael.
we can fight back.
Every warrior had died. They had one option left. Send Kira. Kira was not the strongest warrior in Vaelthorn. She was not the fastest. She was not the most decorated. What she was the only person in the kingdom who had ever refused to raise a sword against something she didn't understand. Elder Thorn had trained her since she was 7, not in combat first. In listening, Kira looked at the mountains. Somewhere up there, ancient beyond imagining, Zael waited. She pulled her red cape tight and walked into the snow. She found him on the 3rd day, or rather, he found her. One moment she was alone in a white valley of ice and silence. The next, the ground shook, the sky darkened, and Zael descended. Enormous, crystalline, terrifying, he opened his jaws, ice breath forming. Kira did not draw her sword. She sat down in the snow, cross-legged, hands in her lap. Zael's jaws closed slowly. His head lowered the size of a house until one enormous amber eye was level with her face, studying her. She met his gaze. The valley was absolutely silent. Then Zael sat down. It took 3 days. 3 days of sitting in the cold, of Kira talking and Zael listening, of a silence that slowly became something other than silence. On the 3rd night, Zael lowered his massive head to the ground and nudged Kira's shoulder with a gentleness that did not match his cathedral scale body. She placed her hand on his snout, ice cold and ancient, and somehow completely alive beneath her palm. He breathed out, not ice, not fire, just breath. Warm, the bond was made. Not through conquest, not through chains, through understanding. Elder Thorn, watching from a distance through an enchanted lens, lowered it slowly and smiled. Malachar had not expected a dragon. He stood at the gates of his shadow fortress, darkness pouring from its walls, watching the sky turn white. Zael came first. An avalanche with wings. His ice breath hit the fortress walls, and the darkness screamed shadow energy and ice colliding in explosions of black and white that lit the sky for miles. Kira rode on his back, red cape streaming behind her, blue sword drawn, screaming into the wind, not from fear, from something older than fear. Malachar raised his hands. Shadow energy poured upward, crashing into Zael's chest, the dragon roaring, the sound of it shaking mountains. Kira leapt from Zael's back into the air, blue sword blazing. She landed on Malachar's platform, blade to blade, shadow and light. Behind her, Zael fighting the fortress itself, his ice consuming the dark stone, the shadow screaming as it froze. Malachar was stronger than she expected. He drove her back, her sword arm burning. Kira looked at him, then looked back at Zael, wounded now, shadow energy cutting through his crystalline scales, bleeding light, still fighting, still there. She looked at her sword, at the dragon crest on her armor. "You're not the end of everything," she said. "You're just the end of today." She drove the blade forward. The shadow fortress collapsed. Malachar's form dissolved, shadow energy scattering into nothing, the darkness retreating from the land like a tide going out. The sky cleared. Blue, actual blue. For the first time in 3 years, the sun reached Vaelthorn. But Zael. Kira found him at the base of the mountain, his enormous body still. The wounds from Malachar's shadow energy had gone deep, too deep. She ran to him, her hands on his scales, the cold of him already changing. His amber eye found her. Still warm, he exhaled slowly. In his breath, something shimmered, a small light rising from him, drifting toward her. She held out her hands. The light settled in her palm, warm and blue-white, and ancient, a piece of him, the part that couldn't die. His eye closed. The valley was quiet. Above her in the clearing sky, something moved. Northern lights, green and silver and vast, moving like something alive. moving like wings. Elder Thorn found her there. He put his old hand on her shoulder, said nothing. Below in Vaelthorn the rivers ran clear. The crops were already turning green beneath the first real sunlight in years. Kira stood up slowly, opened her hand, the small light Zael's essence glowing in her palm. She looked at the northern lights still moving above. Kira looked up. The lights moved, like a wing banking slowly in a sky that was finally, completely clear. She smiled. Her hand closed around the light. She would carry it always. The greatest warriors are not the ones who conquer what they fear. They are the ones who sit down in the snow and choose to understand it instead.